Okay, so right now you understand the cash discount. For normal case, your company will do your best to get a cash discount, okay? Otherwise, maybe your company have some problems, okay? Because the rate of return 投资报酬率 36.5%. How could you find other investment projects can help you to get a high rate of returns? Okay, so let's go to our slide 59. So the last transaction we have is what? Pay the money, right? Before you start to record the transactions, what's the first thing you have to do? Make sure whether you get a cash discount or not, right? So how could you make sure you get a cash discount or not? The credit term is what? 210-30, right? So based on the credit term 210-30 told you, you had to pay the money there within 10 days, right? So did you pay the money within 10 days? Yes or no? Then you had to figure out which day you buy the inventory, you owe the money. May 4th, right? So on May 4th, you buy the inventory. When you pay the money? May 14th, right? So you pay the money on May 14th. So it's within 10 days? Yes, right? So it's within 10 days. That's the first thing you have to figure out. Did you pay the money within 10 days? Okay? So based on first thing, you find out you pay the money within 10 days. So you got cash discount, right? So second thing, I know I got the cash discount. How much? 2%. The problem is 2%, how much? Based on the money you owed, right? So the money you owed is accounts payable, right? So based on accounts payable, the money you owed times 2%. Can you tell me the money you owed right now, how much? At the beginning, you owe the money, right? But don't forget, on the third transaction, you return some inventory back, right? So that means your accounts payable decrease, okay? So don't forget, consider the first transaction and the third transaction. You will figure out how much you still owe the supply sellers, okay? Based on this, you can get the cash discount 2%, how much, okay? So the second thing is you have to do your math, find out how much. Okay? After you figure out you got the cash discount how much, then we record the transaction, right? The money you don't owe the suppliers anymore, right? So accounts payable should be decreased 100% because you don't owe their money anymore. But the problem is you just need to pay the money, how much? 98%. Why is that? Because you got 2% discount, right? 2% discount. Why we use inventory this account? Why? I got 2% discount means what? The money I should pay to buy the inventory decrease, right? So inventory decrease, remember, we always think about cost of inventory, okay? So the cost of inventory decreased 2%. Why is that? Because with a cheaper price, so I spend less money to buy the inventory, okay? So we use inventory, this account decrease to describe what? To describe your cost of inventory decrease. Decrease 2%, okay? So means what? Means you spent less money to buy inventory. Okay? So the third is we record the transactions. So that's your third. So remember, first thing, always make sure did you get a cash discount or not. Only you figure out you get a cash discount or not, then you can do the math. You got a cash discount 2%, then you have to figure out how much. Okay? After that, recall the transactions. Accounts payable decrease 100%. Cash decrease 98%. You got 2% cash discount. That means your inventory, cost of inventory decrease. Okay? Any questions? No problem. Then please go to your handout on page 19. Please finish the fourth transaction on May 14. May 14, okay? When you pay the money, finally, on May 14. So please finish this one, case 1. Case 1, we talk about May 14. So case 1, we talk about your normal case. So what's a normal case? You got cash discount. Okay? So please finish this one. You got cash discount, right? So that means your accounts payable decrease 100%. Also, your cash decrease only 98%. Why is that? Because you got 2% cash discount. Okay, so please finish this one. What's a debit credit we use to describe it? Are you done? Cash decrease on debit or credit. You pay the money, so your cash decrease. Cash decrease on debit or credit. And make sure after you done everything, accounting, how we double check it. Total debit equal to total credit, okay? So sometimes you get confused, right? So how to make sure, double check it. Total debit equal to total credit, okay? So based on this, accounts payable decreased $3,500. Why is that? Remember, at the beginning, you buy the inventory, how much? $3,800, right? But you return the inventory back $300, okay? So you buy the inventory, $3,800. You return inventory back $300, right? So that make the money you owed to suppliers only $3,500. So this is when you buy inventory. 300 is when you return inventory. Okay? So that's why you owe suppliers money only $3,500. But remember, you got 2% cash discount, right? So 2% cash discount means your cost of inventory decrease, right? So here, your inventory decrease means what? means your cost of inventory decrease. How much? 2%, right? Because you got 2% discount. 2% discount is $3,500 times 2%. Okay? So your cost of inventory decreased $70. That's why. How much money you had to pay? The remaining, right? So the cash you had to pay, the cash decreased because you pay the cash back, right? Cash decreased how much? Is 3,500 minus $70. Okay? So that's a remaining amount you had to pay to the suppliers. Okay? Any questions? Here we talk about the normal case. So usually 99.9% we have this situation. So that's a normal case. What's a normal case? Your company will do the best to get cash discount. Okay? Any questions? No problem? Remember, after you finish each transaction, how to double check your answers, the easy way. Total debit have to equal to total credit, okay? Any questions? So after you finish the journal entry, remember total debit have to equal to total credit. They have to be the same, right? Total debit have to equal to the total credits. So someday you find out they are not the same. Think about it twice. You made some mistake. Okay? Any questions? So that's a normal case. What if we have abnormal case on your slide page 61? If your company didn't get the cash discount, your company didn't pay it within discount period, okay? So not within discount period. 没有在折扣期间内付钱。Okay, so there's an abnormal case. So your company didn't get cash discount. Okay, you have to understand this abnormal case because rate of return 投资报酬率 is pretty high, right? So only if your company have a financial situations. Otherwise, why not? Okay. So based on the abnormal case, how much money you have to pay? 100%, right? Okay. So please finish the handout on page 19. We look at the last one is your abnormal case. Okay. Abnormal case. But you know, case 1, case 2, normal, abnormal is only one choice, right? So here, just want to compare the result to you guys only, okay? So they will not appear on the same time. So please finish the handout on last one. Case 2, when your company pay the money on June 3rd, okay? So when you pay the money on June 3rd here, so June 3rd is more than 10 days, right? Why? Because from May 4th to June 3rd is more than 10 days. Okay? Any questions? No problem? Okay. So if you finish the transactions, it's like this. Case 1, we talk about normal case, right? Case 2, here just want to show you abnormal case. So abnormal case, how much money you have to pay? 100%, right? So did you get cash discount? No, okay? So here just want to show you normal and abnormal case right here. Okay? But we focus on normal case only. So you can ignore abnormal right here. Okay? We focus on normal case. So please, right now, we finish first accounting book, right? First accounting book, journal entry, what's a debit, what's a credit, and you need to post to your second book, T account, okay? So based on the transaction we have, please post to your T account on page 21. Page 21, post to your T account. Remember, date is very important. So don't forget the date. You have to write down the date. Are you done? If you finish, you can double check your answers. right here. Finish? You are doing the sellers already, right? But you haven't write down the seller's journal entry. How could you post to your, we just focus on buyers right now. Okay, so based on the buyers here, two things did you find out? First thing I want to let you know is, did you find out for some accounts, they have beginning balance. For inventory, this is the beginning balance, 起初余额. So this is your beginning inventory, 起初存货. For your accounts payable, did you find out the beginning balance, 起初余额? For your cash, did you find out the beginning balance? For your accounts receivable, here we have beginning balance. Okay? But based on this, did you find out some accounts we have a beginning balance, some accounts we don't have? Why? The concept is from chapter 4. Chapter 4, what's the concept we mentioned from chapter 4? Closing the book, 结账, right? So what does it mean, closing the book, 结账? For some accounts, their numbers are accumulated. So we don't need to close in the book. For some accounts, their numbers only for this period, this year. So we have to close in the book. May their account become zero next year. Okay? So this year, they can start from zero to only incurred only 1 year data. So can you tell me which account we have to close in the book? Two, yeah. Which account we have to close in the book? Which account? Are you sure you are going to have a quiz on Thursday. It's a quiz on Thursday, right? So which account we have to course in the book? The revenue, expenses, and dividends, right? Which account they are accumulated, we don't need to course in the book. Asset, liability, equities, right? So did you find out? For asset, liability, equities, their numbers are accumulated, right? So they will need the numbers from previous periods, okay? So here I just assume 0, but most of cases, the beginning balance is not 0. Maybe 100, maybe 200, maybe $5,000, okay? So did you find out? For asset, liability, equities, their numbers are accumulated. So they will need the numbers from previous years. So previous year's data is on beginning balance, okay? So for revenue, expenses, dividends, their numbers only for 1 year, so they don't need beginning balance, okay? So that's the first thing I want to let you know. So which account have the beginning balance? Their numbers are accumulated, okay? So for what? Permanent account, 永久账户 okay? So like assets, liability, equities, okay? So that's the first thing I want to let you understand. Second thing is, here you have an inventory, $3,580. What does it mean? You have to understand the meaning, right? Behind each number. So inventory so far, $3,580. What does it mean? Remember? Beginning inventory. Then we consider the inventory we purchased this period. So you got what? Available for sale, total inventory we have, right? So remember here, last week, the concept we mentioned, when we have the inventory for 2 years, right here, beginning inventory, plus the inventory we purchased this period. So totally, the inventory we have available for sale, okay, $3,580. So when you got the number right here, you have to understand what does it mean. This number means what? There's an inventory available for sale. 可供销售存货。Okay? So it's on your slide here, 63. Slide 63, you got $3,580. You have to understand what does it mean. So we have beginning inventory. So I have beginning inventory. "起初存货 And this year, you buy some inventory, right? $3,800, that's the 1 purchase price. 150, that's the 2, make it ready for sale, right? So this is the 1. $150, that's your 2, right? So based on 1 plus 2, you got your cost of inventory. Okay? And don't forget, you return some inventory back, right? So you return $300 inventory back. you got $70 cash discount, okay? So based on the totally this year, you buy the inventory how much? Based on the inventory you purchase, then you return some inventory back. You got cash discount, okay? So based on this, then in the end, we have $3,580. That's your total inventory you have, okay? So then purchase, what does it mean? Remember, always when we find out net means what? Means net amount, right? 净额. Net amount means what? Something minus something, right? Something minus something. In this case, we talk about net purchase. So we talk about when you buy the inventory. So something minus something, what's that? Is $3,800 plus 150, right? There's a cost of inventory we have. Minus something, $300. Minus something, $70. Okay? So what does it mean? Is your purchase cost of inventory minus what? Your returned inventory. Minus what? You got the cash discount. So there's a purchase we have this period, okay? Okay, any questions? No? Then we've done you are the buyer. Since we have total inventory $3,580 in company, right? Then what's the next? We can sell it to the customers, okay? So right now, you are the sellers, okay? Since we purchase all the inventory we need, so next we are going to sell it, okay? So we talk about you are the sellers right now. Any questions? No problem? Okay. So let's go to you are the sellers on slide page 66. Remember, who are you? You are perpetual 永续盘存制, right? So perpetual 永续盘存制, remember, we've done the first thing when you buy the inventory. Right now, we are going to sell it. But you are perpetual 永续盘存制 means what? You are the hard worker. So we are going to record two things, okay? So first thing is revenue. Second thing is what? Cost of goods sold, the expenses, okay? Even though cost of goods sold is quite difficult to get it, but I'm the hard worker. I still will do my best to complete the mission impossible, okay? So I will try to get a number and to recall our cost of goods sold, the expense, okay? So since we recall cost of goods sold, do you know how many inventory we still have in company? Not a unit, money, the amount, yes, right? Okay, so there's two things. Remember, you have to recall it. Since we are perpetual 永续盘存制 hard worker, okay? So let's look at the case on your page 67. Who are you? Still, you are the sole stereo, okay? So you are the sole stereo, the same company, but right now you are going to sell it, okay? So here I told you, you sell the inventory to customers. How much? $6,000. So $6,000 means the selling price. You sell it to customers. You try to earn the revenue, $6,000, okay? But don't forget, nothing for free. For the inventory you sold to customers, Did you pay the money to buy it before? Yes, right? Well, we buy the inventory and we sell it to customers, right? So how much money you purchase it before? How much money you spend before? Here told you, merchandising cost. Cost of inventory, how much? $2,500. So what does it mean? For the inventory you sold to customers, before you spent $2,500 to buy it. So you spent $2,500 to buy the inventory, to buy this inventory. Okay? Any questions? No problem? So based on this, remember, we are perpetual 永续盘存制. So how many things we have to recall it? 2, right? 1 is revenue. 2 is cost of goods sold, okay? Remember, cost of goods sold is our first expense, right? So this first expense is only about inventory. Okay, so 2 things. First is about revenue. Second is about expense. So we just look at revenue first. Can you tell me revenue? You sell the products to customers. So you earn the revenues from customers, right? How much you earn from customers. So only focus on revenues. You earn the revenues, right? So your revenues should be increased, right? Because you earn the revenues from customers. How much? $6,000, right? Okay. So for that $6,000, you earn the revenues from customers. How much money you spend to buy the inventory? $2,500, right? So when you spend $2,500 to buy the inventory, so that means your inventory decrease, right? So based on this, second thing is what? Your inventory decrease, right? Because you give it to customers already. How much? $2,500, right? Because you spent $2,500 to buy the inventory. Right now, you give it to customers. Okay? So you spent $2,500 to buy it. Okay? Then now, you give it. You sold it to customers. So means you gave it to customers already. Okay? Any questions? No problem? So you earn the revenues, at the same time your inventory decrease. Inventory decrease, then expenses incurred happen, right? Remember? We talked about this before, right? Inventory decrease means what? Your assets decrease. So no future economic benefit. No future economic benefit because that's not yours anymore, right? But you spend the money to buy it, right? So it becomes your expenses because no future economic benefit. No future, but you have what? You have it now, right? Because they cannot have it in the future. But now you can get what? You can get the revenues, right? So at the same time, your expenses increase. Okay? Your expenses increase. Why? Because no future economic benefit. No future. But you have now. 没有未来，但有现在。So what does it mean now? Now you got earned revenue. So you have a benefit now. 没有未来，但有现在。Okay, so how to define that's your asset or that's your expenses? You did something, but that kind of thing can help you in the future. That's assets. They cannot help you in the future, but they can help you now. That's your expense. Okay, so your assets inventory decrease at the same time expenses increase, right? And this kind of expenses about inventories, then what we call about inventories, we call it cost of goods sold because this about inventory. Okay, so about the second thing, cost of goods sold, inventory decrease at the same time cost of goods sold increase. Okay, then how about revenues? You will earn the revenues, right? Give me two effects about revenues. First, you earn the revenue. Revenue increase, right? Which account we use? Service revenue or sales revenue? Sales revenues, right? Because we sell the products. So you have to say, okay, my sales revenues increase $6,000. So what's the next? You have to ask. It's about customers, right? Have customer paid the money yet? Most of cases, they don't, okay? Here also told you on the count, so they didn't pay the money yet. So on the count. Customer owe you money, which account we use? Accounts receivables, right? So our accounts receivables increase. Okay, why is that? Because it's on the count. Customer owe you money. Any questions? So remember two things. You are hard worker, perpetual, 永续盘存制. So you have to recall two things. First is about revenues. Second is about your expense, cost of goods sold. For revenues, you think about the relationship with the customers. You earn the revenues from customers, but customers didn't pay, okay? From cost of goods sold, you have to think about the money you spent to buy the inventory before, okay? Inventory decreased because you give it to customers already. So no future economic benefit, that's why your expenses, cost of goods sold, increase, okay? Any questions? Then please go to your handout on page 20. Your handout on page 20. Look at the handout on page 20. First thing here, who are you? You use perpetual 永续盘存制, okay? Second thing, you are the sellers. You sell the products, okay? So page 20, still, we are the hard worker, perpetual. We are sellers. We sell the products to customers, okay? So on June 1st, remember, please recall two things because you are the hard worker, right? So first thing is about what? Revenue. Second thing is about what? Your cost of goods sold, okay? So write down two journal entries. First journal entry about revenue. Second journal entry about your cost of goods sold. First journal entry about revenue. Second journal entry about cost of goods sold. So figure out your revenues. You earn the revenues. So two effects, okay? Your expenses increase, so two effects. First journal entry about revenue. Second journal entry about cost of goods sold. So for revenues, two effects. For cost of goods sold, two effects. Are you done? Not yet? Okay. First journal entry about revenue. Second journal entry about cost of goods sold. So first journal entry about revenue. Think about revenues. You earn the revenues. So two effects. First is you earn the sales revenue. Second is customers didn't pay, right? So that's revenues. Second journal entry about your inventory decrease because you give it to customers at the same time expenses incurred. Okay, are you done? If you finish, you can double check your answers right here. First journal entry about revenues. Second journal entry about cost of goods sold. So remember, think about first journal entry about revenues. So it is the revenue you earned from customers, right? Second journal entry expenses, we talk about what? The cost you spent to buy inventory before, right? And now you sold it to customers. Okay? So revenues increased $6,000, right? At the same time, customer didn't pay, so accounts receivable increased $6,000. But nothing for free, right? You want to earn the revenues from customers. How much money you spent to buy the inventory before? $2,500, okay? So that's why your inventory decrease. Why? Because you give it to customers. Okay, at the same time, cost of goods sold, your expenses increase. Any questions? So two things. First about revenue. Second about cost of goods sold, your first expense. Any questions? Based on this, can you tell me, for this transaction, for this business, what's the profit you can get? About inventory, right? So gross profit, 毛利, what's the profit you can get from this inventory? How to get the gross profit? 毛利没有小五郎。毛利 gross profit only about inventory. What's that? Sales revenue. For the inventory we sold to customers, we earn the revenue $6,000, right? But how much money you spent to buy the inventory before? $2,500. Okay. So did you find out you are the hard workers? You will know the information anytime. So based on this, I already know the transaction bring us the profit. How much? $6,000 minus 2,500. Okay. So based on this, I know the profit, gross profit I can get how much? Based on the revenues and expenses 2,500. I know the gross profit. 毛利 is $6,000 minus 2,500. So I know the profit 3,500. So what does it mean? You don't need to do anything. You just buy the inventory, sell it directly. They can bring you the profit, $3,500. Okay? So that's the profit you can get from inventory. So profit from inventory， 存货本身为你带来的利润。Okay, we haven't think about other expenses yet. We just think about focus on inventory only. I buy it $2,500. I sell it $6,000. So only for this inventory, I don't do anything. Just buy it, sell it. I get the profit $3,500. Okay, any questions? No problem. Take a break.